So ready to ditch those dusty old fraction worksheets. Bring on the fun, right?
Absolutely. Who says learning fractions can't feel like a game?
Well, today's deep dive is all about making fractions fun, and we've got a game changer on our sites. It's called 4 Dice Fraction Games.
Four dice, fraction games. Yeah, it's really interesting. What grabs you right away is how it flips the script. It's
Yeah.
not your typical solve the problem kind of game. It's all about uncovering how fractions really work. You know what I mean?
Okay, yeah, flipping the script. I like that.
It's like instead of getting the equation first, you start with the answer. It's
Yeah.
like you've got this delicious cake, right? But the fun part is figuring out the recipe. How do they make that?
I'm starting to get, yeah, kind of working backward, right? It's like solving a puzzle. Okay, so how do the dice fit into all of this?
The dice, well, that's the element of chance, right? Just to shake things up a bit. So you roll one die twice. First roll, that's your denominator. Second roll, that's your numerator. Boom, target fraction.
Okay, I'm with you. Let's say I roll a 3 and then a 1. So my target fraction is 13.
Exactly. 1/3. That's what everyone's aiming for.
So everyone's going for 13. What's next? New round of rolls.
Exactly. Now everyone gets four dice. Four dice, four numbers. That's what you've got to work with.
Okay, and what do you do with these 4 dice?
All right, so you've got to use those four numbers any way you can to build an equation that lands you on or as close as you can get to that 13 target.
So it's not just about finding the right answer, it's more about exploring the different ways to reach that fraction, right?
I like that. Can you walk me through a quick example, though? Let's say I roll a two again, a 5, and 6. What do I even start with that?
Now that's where it gets really interesting. You've got options you can use those numbers, 2, 2, 5, and 6, in any order you like, in any operation 2, addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and get this, you can even make improper fractions if you need to, whatever gets you closer to that 13. Wow, so many possibilities. It really makes you think, that's for sure. Way more engaging than just filling out worksheets.
Right. That's the beauty of it. It forces you to think outside the box. It's not just about memorizing times tables or whatever. It's about understanding how numbers actually work together.
You mentioned using the numbers to create improper fractions. Can you give an example of how that might work?
Okay, so your roll was 2, 2, 5, and 6, right? And we're aiming for 13. Let me see. Well, you could take that 6 and make it 6, 5.
Okay, so that's an improper fraction right there,
Exactly. And then you could subtract 22.
which is just 1.
Yeah, exactly. And that would get you pretty darn close to 13.
Oh, I see. So there's a lot of room to get creative with the numbers you roll. It's almost like strategic.
Exactly. It's like math, but with strategy. And don't forget about those doubles. You roll a pair, you get to use that number twice.
Oh, right. So my 2-2s give me even more options. I'm really starting to see how much fun this game would be for kids. It's way more engaging than just worksheets.
Right. And you can adjust the difficulty too.
Oh, really? Tell me more about that.
So for younger kids, beginners, you can keep it simple. Just addition and subtraction, no need to overcomplicate things.
So they still roll for their target fraction, get their 4 numbers, but then they're working with a smaller set of operations, right?
Exactly. Start with the basics, get comfortable with those, then level up. Once they've got addition and subtraction down, then bring on the multiplication and division.
I love that. It grows with the learner. This is really making me wish I had games like this when I was in school.
Never too late to bring some fun into learning, right?
So true. Speaking of which, is this 4 dice game something you have to play with physical dice? Or is there like an app for that?
There's an app for that, fractions on the go.
Wow, that makes it even more accessible then, right? Whether you're in the classroom or just at home.
Exactly. Anytime, anywhere, fractions are ready.
I bet the app has even more ways to play too, right?
Yeah.
Different levels or even time challenges.
Oh, absolutely. The digital format lets you really customize the experience.
This 4 dice game sounds incredible. Engaging, adaptable, and it's really checking all the boxes. But, even beyond just fractions, I'm curious about this whole working backward idea. What can this teach us about teaching and learning in general?
That's a great question. It's all about perspective, isn't it? Sometimes just flipping the script, starting with the answer, it can turn a boring old problem into something exciting.
It's about those aha moments,
Yeah.
right, where it all just clicks.
Yes, exactly. And this doesn't just apply to fractions or math. Think about history.
Okay, yeah.
What if instead of just memorizing dates and names, we give students an event, right? And then they have to work backward, figure out how we got there.
Wow, that's actually really cool. Turning history into a mystery to solve. I love it.
Exactly. And in figuring out the why, they understand the what even better, right?
Like giving them the ending and then they have to write the rest of the story. And you could even use this idea for language arts too, right? Instead of just dissecting classic literature, what if students had to create something new? Like start with a theme or an emotion and work backward to build a poem or a story around it.
Now, that's a fantastic idea. I love it. It's like reverse engineering a creative process, you
Yeah.
know? It helps them really appreciate the art of writing. They start to see how every single war, every little plot twist plays a role in how the story makes you feel.
Right. Like there's that old saying, right? Start with the end in mind. But this takes it a step further. Don't just think about the ending, take it apart. Figure out how it works.
Yes, exactly. And you know what? This whole working backward thing, it's bigger than just school. Think about everyday problems, right? What if instead of getting stuck in the problem, you imagine the perfect solution first, and then you kind of reverse engineer it, figure out what steps you need to get there?
It's like that saying, if you don't know where you're going, any road will get you there.
Yeah.
But like in reverse. You figure out your destination and then you're like, all right, what's the best road to get me there?
Yes, I love that. And that's what's so powerful about this whole approach. You've got to think strategically, creatively. You really get a deeper understanding of how things work.
I've got to say, this whole conversation has really been eye-opening. It's amazing how just shifting your perspective a little bit, like with 4 dice for action games, can make a huge difference. Not just for learning fractions, but for any kind of learning, any kind of problem.
Absolutely. It's all about making learning playful again, you know? When you
Yeah.
start seeing education as this exciting puzzle, you tap into that natural curiosity, and that makes learning fun.
So to all our listeners out there, if you're looking for a way to spice up those fraction lessons,
Yeah.
4 dice, fraction games, is a fantastic place to start. But don't forget the real takeaway here, that working backward magic.
Exactly. Don't be afraid to try it out in other subjects, other areas of your life even. You never know what you might discover.
Challenge accepted. This deep dive has given us a lot to think about, that's for sure. A whole new way of looking at learning. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
And to everyone listening, until next time, keep exploring, keep asking those what-if questions, and never underestimate the power of a good game.